All right, Cam, get the checkbook out.
Check it.
Another computer's coming up.
Say yours already.
It's already going.
No. The fan.
Just kill some things and start over.
My file anxiety is now less. If you're
Comparatively, is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
You feel compared to
Relatively,
you're
I'm
doing,
feeling now I'm feeling really good about my file situation. Goodness. Yeah, that does sound loud. Yeah.
normally. I should say normally. It hasn't ever been this loud, but it's got some age on it now. Let's see. Yeah, 7 going on 8 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty good
For a
the
lot.
old,
Yeah, for a
the
lot.
old Mac. Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there. Although I think Cam might have me beat with his over there.
I'm in the middle of you two. I feel like I hear yours more than I hear his.
Yeah.
Yeah, shoot now.
I don't even know what it is. The like thing that keeps it from sliding
Oh, yeah,
around
the
just like
grip.
fell off.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, mine is, but it's not making any sense.
Yeah, that's
The little gripper's
a
gone.
win. All right.
Okay.
I'm assuming we're live here.
We're back.
All right. Well, yeah, hopefully we've got some progress to make today.
I think so.
I'm optimistic to kind of see where we go. Thanks for, kind of continuing through the process while I was out for the last session. I think it was still mutually beneficial to keep moving on, and I think these two gentlemen did a great job here. So from our perspective, it sounded like some costing, maybe recosting was going to come back, and then kind of see where you guys are with proposal, counter proposals from there.
Yeah.
All right.
We are, yes, prepared with a counter proposal. And we did have a really productive session last week. I think Stacy and I got a very good deep dive, thanks to Cam and Ryan, into the career ladder and where I had a better understanding after our whiteboard session than I have this whole time we've been talking about it. And I know you all, I think we both left with some homework on the career ladder in terms of how might we go about solving what feels like a very important pinch point at firefighter 3. So I don't know, we have a package to present. We've got a counter proposal with kind of a different idea around career ladder, but we know you all also did some thinking on that. So not sure if you would like to talk through your thinking on career ladder, if you would like us to go first and see kind of where our heads are at.
How much, when you say something new, how much variation would you say is something new in that realm?
Should we jump right in?
Yeah, let's do
Okay, should we
that.
jump right in?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's great.
Do you want to start with career development then?
Yeah, we certainly can. We certainly can. So, because I was having file anxiety, I preloaded some proposals into that 715 packages folder. So let's jump in with career ladder, which is titled in there U10.
Got it.
And our wild and crazy idea is not a particularly new one, but we took a stab at grandfathering.
Okay.
So as we talked through it and really, I think, like I said, Stacy and I, and certainly Romeo's been working with you all very closely on this, as we really talked through where we felt like some of the pinch points were, where I think we were struggling a little bit with the new pay steps and how we build in some of the steps and working out a class going away. We said, what if we just grandfathered any firefighter 1, 2, 3s, or 4s that exist today, allow them to keep doing and earning, working out of class. They stepped into this, they joined Boise Fire thinking that this was how things worked. Some of them have tested. Obviously, when we looked at the numbers, there has been quite a bit of working out of class. And I think that was one of the things we were trying to solve for is like what would the percentages between steps and ranks have to be to make sure that if working out of class is going away, they're not losing out. Kind of how do we keep these folks whole as we shift to this new pay structure? So this is again kind of an old idea, but out of the box in these discussions so far. So the crux, well, we can walk through this. Romeo left a lot of nice comments in there that I'm going to use to talk through it. But the punchline is our proposal says, hey, why don't we grandfather anybody in a firefighter 1, 2, 3, or 4, keep them still able to do working out of class. And then as we start recruiting new folks in, they would start in the new career ladder where then there shouldn't be an issue because they would be slotting in and working through it as designed instead of trying to make a flip mid-career. So let's walk through this. In the first, so Article 3 wages, Section B, career development program, we had some discussion about when opportunities would come up for captains and senior firefighters. So Romeo added in annual for captain and senior firefighter, and then biennial for battalion chiefs. While my scrolling is working. The rest of that section is pretty well scratched because these are the changes we're making. So if we get down into section F, essentially Romeo adopted the matched the union language with our proposal and the 2% there. So a member covered in this agreement may be assigned to carry out the duties of a position of a higher rank, shall receive a 2% increase in base pay as designated by Appendix A, pay schedules for the appropriate position they're able to swing up for. Members of the rank of probationary firefighter 1, 2, 3, or 4, as of, assuming this goes into effect October 1st, 2026, shall receive difference in pay between the average. Do I need to read all that or you're tracking? Okay, you know where we are.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so this is where we added in the language to grandfather those existing firefighters, allowing them to receive working out of class differential. We had a bit of discussion then the next comment that we've got on the fire marshal division chief. We had a bit of discussion about that several sessions ago. So Romeo left in the assistant chief or captain 3 being able to fill the duties of fire marshal. Pay schedule, you can see the red lines there. I think these were the original the red lines that we had last time. And then below the pay table in section 1, added in some of the work that we had done in a working session around the task book and working out of class. And then there were some changes made in sections 2, 3 to match the union proposal that you all had done. In section 4, we left the captain as 40-hour instead of naming out all of the different 40-hour captains. We matched union language in section 4. And then in section 6, included union language, but changed it to a 12-month grace period from an 18-month. So a whole lot of words in that, and I certainly would want you all to digest it, but really the take home point, the punchline, is the idea of grandfathering as a
Mhm.
mechanism to keep folks whole through the transition.
Okay, so grandfathering in this, as far as intent, is anyone that is currently in a rank right now for WOC maintains kind of where they are, and they maintain that differential pay scale per occurrence. So they're exactly where they are.
That's, yeah,
Yes.
exactly where
That's what
they
we talked
are.
through. For 1, 2, 3, 4, firefighter 1, 2, 3, 4, yes.
Okay.
And I should say,
Looking
Off the
for
whole-
truth teller over here.
Yeah,
I should say, as of, so we're not saying today. We assume there could be some changes between now and when the contract would go into effect. So we would
Yes.
have like the date
October
certain,
1st.
October.
Whoever is here and employed, yeah.
Copy.
yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody moves between now and then, we would be looking at the October 1 as.
State effective.
So, and I'm just trying to capture what I think is in here, what was said. So it's more of the reliance grandfather idea, which is anyone that is currently employed here has the ability to maintain the current system. Really, the step raise, we're still changing though. So step raise program still goes away, and I'm kind of looking at Chief Boland to step raise program goes away. So we're really talking
Saying the
about,
step raise as it is today.
yes, the career development step raise as it is today. So we're really only talking about grandfathering / reliance for the WOC
Correct.
portion of it.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody in their step raise would theoretically go into the new career ladder, which we have kind of talked about figuring out where they go. They would go in that position, and then they would maintain the WOC differential instead of the percentage.
Correct.
Anyone,
Just firefighters.
Just firefighters.
Firefighters 1, 2,
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
because that was our pain point.
Yeah.
okay, so WOC firefighters is what we're talking about.
Mostly, yeah, but I guess if you're, right now, if we have a firefighter 2 or firefighter 1, they would stay in this old contract. It'd just be basically people we bring on from now, or I guess next hiring.
Next
Would be
event.
under this new proposal.
Correct.
Okay,
Just that
so
firefighter section.
captain WOCs would no longer have a differential. They would go to percentage.
Correct.
So there is no reliance. It is just the firefighter group.
Correct.
Cause I don't think we had a problem.
Yeah,
I don't think we
yeah,
had a problem with captain and above. I think that
Everybody else benefited. This was the
Right,
point.
right.
this was the
Yeah, they
pain
were
point.
the-
So we
yeah.
were trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, kind of different, different approach to it, a different
Doesn't
way.
come without its complexity, but only for a period of time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a smaller section of complexity.
Yeah.
versus that was a big question that
That-
was coming up was how are we gonna manage all the way through every pay scale, having literally 2 different pay scales for it?
But we had long conversations.
We had a lot of conversations.
That's your nightmare, not mine.
Pay plan, where we landed was pay plan A and pay plan B.
Mhm.
And some people get to stay in A.
But we did go through that pretty thoroughly, and we can do it.
Mhm.
Just understanding there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
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 And we really heard you, and really don't, but we don't want to do this on the backs of anyone. We want to make sure that our team's fairly compensated, taken care of, and we do recognize that making this shift is a huge change.
Mhm.
And some folks may be really uncomfortable with that based on how they are
Mhm.
right now, how their work is right now, what that looks like. And so this was our attempt to honor that and try to comfortably help them through this change, but then recognizing for the greater good and from here on for hopefully decades,
Mhm.
getting into this new career ladder really is the right move. But how do we just kind of ease that change for the folks that may be not benefiting as much as others at
Right.
this point?
Right.
So throwing some spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah.
Here's another way we might go about solving that
Mhm.
problem. And
I think I appreciate the the work going into that. And,
Yeah.
you know, that is a difficult process for us to try to manage. Is when we go through these big changes,
Transitions.
there is
yeah.
people that it can really negatively affect. We were talking about it this morning, prior to being here about, you know, it's difficult to work through a contract and to look at something and go, well, this person's going to be doing the exact same thing they were doing and take a $8,000 to $10,000 pay cut. That's hard
Yeah.
for those people. And it's a very few, but still our job is to try to protect everybody's benefits and their compensation for the work they do. So appreciate that.
And I just don't think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
From our perspective, it's like,
Yeah.
that's not how we want to treat our employees, right? Like this was an obvious, once we better understood it, it was like, oh,
And at some point,
Now
they
we
all
get
roll,
it.
well, they all roll forward and
Yep.
then this becomes,
Yes.
you know, obsolete.
yeah,
Yeah.
most likely by the end of this contract, or certainly by the end of the next contract, this
Yeah.
problem has
Yes.
been solved.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and maybe we'll get into it in the package proposal. How did this affect costing?
Well, we did several things on the back end, and we're happy to share costing on all of this. The other big thing that we revisited, and this in the whole scheme of the package, I think will make sense, but we also went back and revisited our assumptions
Mhm.
on the 1-year move, the 2-year move. I think after our whiteboarding session,
Mhm.
we got much more comfortable and better understood where you all were saying like, yeah, 1
Not
year is
everybody's gonna do it
theoretically
one
possible, but like the probability of that is real low. So we made some very significant revisions on our costing and modeled out like what a 2-year progression looks like.
Mhm.
And we applied some of that savings to this,
Mhm.
right? So it's like, okay, before we were cashing in, working out of class.
Right.
And saying, well, okay, like we'll cash in, work out of class, put it towards this new structure. Revisiting and revising those assumptions, going from a 1-year move to 2-year moves in some, right? Like we know firefighter 1, 2, 3, like that's going to be an annual move because that's how it is now. But refining that actually freed up quite a bit of funding that we heard you all loud and clear on base. So
Yeah.
we took the liberty of applying to revising our base wage. But this did, doing it this way, even with grandfathering and working out of class, but with those revised assumptions on how folks would move,
Right.
it generated quite a bit of savings.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And we can share those numbers with you as
Yeah.
well as kind of part of the whole package, but that it basically, it netted out, and we were able to put more into base. So
Okay,
if that
awesome.
helps.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Do you want to move to specialty teams?
Great. Let's go
Okay,
there
these are
next.
pretty straightforward, I hope. So this is with the specialty team pay. This is a modification to our proposal. Still staying committed to the flat rate, but increasing that, trying to get closer to what you would think is appropriate and fair. So we adjusted that to 15%. We'd started with 3%. We adjusted that up to 15%. So those are the new biweekly pay amounts that you see there. That is 15%. So if you calculate that out, that's what you're going to see.
Okay.
So that is that modification. Any questions at all on that proposal?
Oh, that was very
Okay.
cut and dry.
Okay. And then Christine talked about,
Unions.
let's go to paramedics, AEMT. Let's go to AEMT.
So in here, it's labeled C15, but this is the AEMT.
Okay.
All right, so with this one, we had, again, a lot of conversation based on your concerns and the conversations we had in here, and where we landed was grandfathering all existing paramedics, again, making sure we keep people whole as we make these transitions. And then also maintaining training captains at 10%, again, based on the concerns we had in that specific area. So the you'll see the adjustments to the language, but it's essentially those two modifications that we made to the proposal.
Perfect. So grandfathering on this one, there's the, kind of the two methodologies of grandfathering we generally talk about. There's the one that's just we're grandfathering everybody in the position they're in. Then there's the one that we just talked about, which is kind of that reliance
As they move,
factor,
yeah.
grandfathering. If you are currently here, you are grandfathered into the current program. Which one grandfathering is this without me reading through it?
So the way I understood it, it would be if you're currently in the program.
Currently a
Currently a paramedic.
Currently a paramedic with the program.
That's what I heard Romeo say. Yes.
Yeah, reading it.
Yeah, currently in the program, then this is what you would effectively maintain that. Yeah.
With the knowledge that it may take us longer to get
Yeah.
more AEMTs.
Yes.
in the
Yeah,
organization.
she's self-funding.
Yep.
Yeah, I see.
We did talk, this was one I feel like we made really good progress on last week, and we're feeling kind of good, like, hey, if we could get to the folks that are currently in the program, the stability and the security for the rest of their career. I think it was Cam, it might have been Ryan. I apologize. I think it was Cam. There was another idea about like a one-time buyout, like just another idea of how we might approach it. The complexity of that.
I didn't love it.
The complexity of that on the HR side.
I actually started trying to figure, I was like, oh.
Okay, how do we do that? How would we, if we can keep a pay plan A and a pay plan B, we're pretty confident we can do it. The one-time buyout just, it's not,
wholly opposed. It
Yeah.
just was, we just kind of put a pin in it.
Yeah.
so
That's fair.
we heard you, and I think that's a very creative idea that does potentially help us get moving faster. So appreciate the problem solving, the creativity. When we got back to the ranch and started figuring out how it would do it, yeah, I was like, we might need to think on that more. So, okay.
And then the third proposal is pretty straightforward. So we are essentially, we're still committed to the physical assessments, but outside the CLA. So what we'd like to do is continue to work on this, but as an MOU, as we manage concerns and move closer to where you're comfortable and we're comfortable, but not make it dependent on where we land here with the CLA. So it will not impact, but we'd like to continue to work on it beyond the CLA.
So if I'm understanding, this is basically just a placeholder
Yes.
right now, okay?
Yep. Yeah.
And that,
Just so I'm clear, we're suggesting it's a placeholder. We have the ability in general orders to discuss the nuances
That's
through our
what I understand.
GO, the wellness
Yes,
fitness.
with the intent of working on this.
Thank you. Well said. Yeah.
okay, so now this is when I get sweaty. We're gonna see if the file uploading really works.
You got this, Christy.
I got this. Romeo, you'd be so proud. Okay. So I just uploaded 2 more files to that package folder. And it is the city package and then the base wage proposal. So let's open city package. And we'll run that down from
You're in the
the
shared.
top.
Yes. Yeah.
7:15.
You got it. Okay, I see bubbles popping in here. Okay,
Sometimes they have to flash 14.
so from the top, and we were working off of your last package. So from the top, we kept Union 1 city counter from June 23rd, which is the deferred comp, removing the 1% member match. It seemed like we were close on that one. We just talked through Union 2, which is the specialty teams, going to a 15% increase on that flat. We kept in your Union 5, which was the callback pay, and that was from June 24th. We talked through Union 6, which was City 15, so the AEMT grandfathering. It's the one we just talked through. We have Union 7 city counter on the authorized strength. That one we have also talked about several times. No, we still might have some work to do on
That's,
that.
is that, which proposal is that? 'Cause we never got a counter, I believe,
Oh,
for the authorized.
hang tight.
Like the last one.
Six.
This.
I think, okay, if I recall this conversation, what we agreed is we stuck with our counter prior to your last one. So it's the
Okay.
proposal that we had put out there. I believe that's correct.
Right.
623, yeah, let me
Okay.
this. Would you like me to upload the one we're for sure talking about?
Yeah, you should move it over. Yeah.
Well, you have confidence I can move it over. Let's see if I can actually do that. Okay, so that one. Seven. Oh, there it is. Okay, did that show up yet? Just a sec.
Did you put it under package if you did?
Well, let's see. I don't know how Romeo does this. I'm doing a very
Put them side
awkward,
by side.
I'm doing a very awkward download upload situation, which is probably not our best day. Sorry. Okay. There now.
Yeah, they came in.
U7, Article 4, Section A.
Got it.
Got it? Okay.
You're doing great.
I'm like breathing through. Okay. So after the authorized strength is the career development that we started out talking through. That one is titled Union 10 City Counter from today. We included ones we've already had before you in the past, the city 3-4, which is the vacation sell down date and accrual notifications. We included city 9 from our original June 3rd introduction, the longevity pay cap at 25 years. City 12 from the 2nd of July, which is the 96-hour consecutive cap. City 13, which is the advanced and basic life support medical response units. City 14, which is the one that Stacy talked through. That's the physical fitness MOU. So not to be part of the CLA, but to continue discussion. So that's kind of the placeholder framework there. City 16 from July 2nd, which is the promotional examination. And then let's go through base rates. That is in there as city 17, C17.
Yeah.
So as we talked about before, revisiting the assumptions on career ladder did free up quite a chunk of change. And we heard you loud and clear on the one-time not being acceptable. So we went with base increases, and those are 2% in the first year, 1.5% in years 2 and 3, and 1% in year 4. And then at the bottom, we included all of the tentative agreements that we've got, and then withdrawn or not included listed out at the bottom as well. And I will work on moving all of the proposals into that folder. I thought it would be easier to talk through the new ones as they were before I
Yeah.
uploaded all of them, so I'll make a dump of everything else. So we have a record of all that's included.
I did want to just make a quick note. We went through sick leave without a counter, just based on the last conversation we had where you recommended we remove it, but you weren't ready to come back with a proposal yourself.
Sure.
So it's not, I know that's in the withdrawn or not included, but as we talked through that, we're just kind of not sure what the next steps were with that.
Perfect. Yeah. Totally get that.
It felt like the ball was in your
Yep.
court, so we
Yeah.
left it there and we
Yeah.
respected your ask and took ours back out.
Right. Gents, do you have any questions to clarify on any of it if you're interested in?
Clarification.
I
don't think so.
I think for us, what I would propose at this point is, we need to just caucus and, have some time. I would hope that maybe we could shoot for, if we do an hour, that means it's right before lunch. Let's shoot for just a 1-hour caucus. And then see if we have time to come back and just have a conversation before lunch.
Great.
And if things change in that kind of as we're going through what the day looks like for us, we'll just shoot you a message and make sure you're not just sitting and waiting on this.
So plan to be back at 11:30?
Yeah,
that-
let's make that the
11:30, our target?
initial plan. It's 11:30. Yeah.
It's a minor thing, but I just noticed in mine on the second proposed percentage, the 1.5 in the language, and then there's a 2% there. It's just, there's an error right there.
Oh, we got to change.
It was 2%.
2%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
No error, there's no error in it, right? No error.
I just want to make sure
I see
it's
it.
clean.
Adjusting on the fly.
Yeah. Just reset it.
It's been my
Lynn,
experience.
aren't you handy to have around?
I'm Romeo.
It earns your keep. To go.
I think I'm buying you lunch today.
Well, I did have something erroneously on the website one time for step raise.
I think
I
we
didn't.
have all been there. Like, wait, what did that say?
I told a
That's not
story
what we
earlier
meant.
today and I'm gonna share it here. And this is a, where we were talking about it,
Are we among-
everybody
are we
makes
among friends
mistakes.
here?
We're among friends.
We're among friends.
So, as we discussed earlier, we wanted to go caucus real quick, kind of come back with some ideas. And then we have some theoretical, we haven't changed any language, but kind of some theoretical, proposals, counter proposals, if you will. And then a little bit of discussion. And then our goal, would be to go to lunch, to spend another couple hours to try to work on preparing some formal counters, to be able to potentially represent today. So we would ideally come back maybe like a 2 to 2:30, just kind of work through a long lunch.
Great.
If we get to a point where we think we can come in before that, we'll just bump you up. But if that works for you guys, then that'll be our plan for today.
Good.
So, just kind of going through the proposal, and I'm just going to kind of start at the top of your package, just to use it as a reference point to go down to. But we're kind of in the same boat with the initial language on the Social Security money. The specialty team pay, we want to just kind of have a conversation. I'm hoping it's going to be similar to a whiteboard where we get just our perspective of where we are in specialty teams kind of across the table. So when we created specialty teams, and this was 20 years ago, we're literally at the 20-year anniversary of kind of those specialty teams being created and a pay scale that went with those. We decided as a city that we wanted to shift from kind of a EMS and structural firefighting to being an all hazards department so that we could be able to support the community across the board with the foothills and the river. And then all of the other things that we do along with that with hazmat and the ARF and the airport as well. So when we did that, we said, okay, there's now going to be special members that have to take on all this additional training and this additional responsibility. And here's the value that we think should be applied to that, the value of these people doing this job. And that is somehow I said Siri or something close to it.
Uh-oh.
That is kind of the perspective that we want to speak to in where we think we are. So that happened. And in 20 years, we have not made any adjustment to that. And so what's happened is the value has just eroded over 20 years for people that are being asked to do all this additional work, to be specialized in these jobs, to be able to perform for our community. And this value that was here to do that has just eroded over time because we have never addressed it since that point 20 years ago. So that is what we're trying to do here is we're trying to make some correction to it. The idea in that correction is that we should have put it as a percentage. And I know there's a clear division of we want percentages. The city is much happier with flat rates. We understand that. We feel like, again, this is one that really should be placed as a percentage. And then that percentage moved forward equivalently with being attached to a base rate so that we don't have to come back every single year and then talk about what are we going to do for specialty teams again. We think it should just be consistent with when we talk about a base rate, we know that the specialty team pay is attached to it, just like we know that paramedic pay is attached to that base rate, just like we know other parts of the contract are attached to that base rate, and they are going to move up with the base rate, and we all have that understanding. So when we decided where do we come in with this percentage, we dropped in a 5% increase or setting it at 5%. That barely scratched the surface. That does not bring us even close to current of what we think the value of that money should be at the current wage equivalency. We were just trying to make some movement and then create a percentage so that we could continue in the future to be able to make adjustments to bring that back to the same equivalent value that it was when it started. So we really want to kind of walk down that line of saying, this is important to us. We think that it's somewhere that we have failed in kind of the negotiation process, if you will, and supporting the employees that we have for that work we're doing, and we're trying to make some adjustment there. So we don't have a counter proposal on it. We're going to go back and we're going to work on a counter proposal, but we really want to just focus on this is extremely important for us to try to make some catch up in that specialty team because it's been so long that it needs some attention, no question. Our idea is that if we keep it a flat rate, we make some adjustment, but we then kick the can down the road and then we continue erosion again. And so even though we've made an adjustment, we're going to be right back in the same boat in the next negotiation or in 2 negotiations from now. If we can get it to a flat rate of a percentage and then say, now let's look at it and be able to project and be able to slowly make up the difference there, it's a much better position for us. And it's really important for us to be able to look at doing that. So we wanted to have that conversation prior to lunch. So that as you go back with some other costing that you may do here when I go through, that's kind of at the forefront of one of our goals. And we wanted to really just share why it was so important to us. So the second part
Can I ask a question or two?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what, I do not know this history at all. Has this been brought to the table in the past? Like how, like what is kind of the history of, I mean, I know we
Yeah,
talked about
yeah.
it several times, but like we instituted it 20 years ago. Like, is this something you all have been bringing to the table each negotiation?
No, so the
Ah.
failure is on us as well,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Like, we're not saying it's fully on the city. It ideally, in my mind, it should have happened and said, hey, here is a very specific program that we have that should have a flat rate attached to it so that the value of that work that's done maintains over time. I was involved in the negotiation prior to this one, and I was semi-involved in the negotiation prior to that contract. I was on probation, pretty new, but I came into the process at the end. And neither of those negotiations did we bring forth a specialty team person.
We did bring one.
Did we bring one and we
Just
just
got
dropped
dropped to the side.
pretty quick? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was no movement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah, I just wasn't quite sure what
So-
the history of like how we got here.
yeah,
So for clarifying purposes, what I heard was you're looking to put either a flat rate or a percentage forward that is commensurate with what would have grown if it was proposed years ago. Or are you saying 20 years ago?
yes. So that is correct, Chief. We're not saying no to a flat rate increase. We don't think that's the right thing and the right direction to go, because all that does is bring us current or bring us further, and then we continue erosion again throughout the next 4 years of this contract, and then until the next point that it's brought up. If we get it to a percentage, at least we take a bite of the apple, and then we don't have a continued erosion of the value of that as we move forward. So we're not saying that our proposal is not, let's make it a percentage and make up that 20-year gap. We're nowhere near that, because we know that that's not reasonable to bring to the city.
What data are you looking at that where you can say, okay, this is the gap, this is how far, like where are you referencing?
So what we're just referencing is that it's been a flat rate. And if we took that flat rate and we turned it to a percentage based on our base rate at the time,
Yeah.
and then we took that and moved it forward based on the base rates that we have got in the last 20 years, that's what we would look at and say, here is the equivalent value of what it would have been in a percentage if we had done that in the beginning.
So that's where you got your 5%.
No, well,
No.
that's how we got a number of what we think it should have been. And then we went, again, that's not reasonable for us to come to the city and go, we want that to be a 15% stipend that goes on top of and is connected to base rate, because that's what would make up the 20 years and then be able to help it move forward from there. We looked at it and went, how do we take a bite at the apple? How do we try to say, here's the gap, and we want to be able to start working on fixing that gap? We're not asking for it all to be fixed at once, but we want to work on it. And if we get it at least at a percentage rate, then we don't take a bite at the apple and the apple stays the same size apple. If we take a bite at the apple with a flat rate, then we have taken a bite at the apple, and then that apple is going to continue to grow, and now our bite has very little value to it.
I guess where my head is going is, have we looked at market data comparatively with other organizations and said, this is what specialty technical teams are paid?
Yep.
This is what our folks are paid, and what's the gap?
Most of them are 10%.
Most of them have a 10%
Yes,
differential.
yes. Most specialty team
Okay.
rates are a percentage across the country,
Okay.
and most of them are equivalent to like what a paramedic would be.
Okay.
And I would say they definitely range between like that 5 and 10% range. But it's a 5% that is an equivalent to current value, not 5%, which is, what we asked was 5% based on a 20-year-old value. And that's why we're saying it was just a kind of bite at the apple to try to get us closer to where we think we should be.
Okay, but 5 to 10% of a 20-year-old value, that value is compounding based on base. That base has increased in 20 years. So I guess I'm not following your line of thinking in terms of, if you're saying it's 10% differential and that's what we should be offering, I get that based on base that's grown over 20 years. That's based off of something that has grown over 20 years. But
Yeah.
if you say we have to close this gap and offer the 10%, then you're going to be well ahead of where their organizations are. So I'm not sure that I'm following.
Yeah, I don't think we're speaking the same.
Okay.
language. There's a disconnect.
We're not asking for both.
Yeah, so what I heard
Yes.
was not both.
Yeah,
Not both.
yeah, not both,
Not both.
not both.
All right. All right.
We've come with the percentage ask. We looked at to say back in 2006, when this was added as a flat dollar, we took a wage equivalency and said, what was that based on the base rates back then? And you get the average, and we range from that 4 to 6%, depending on where you're at with longevity. And so you said, what's the
that's where
average
we
is
were 20 years ago.
20 years ago? Yeah, when that got added, and
I see.
did that equate to
Okay.
base? And so what we put in there is that it's reasonable, and we look at market comparables. We're taking the low end of what specialty team members are paid, because they do range significantly and higher than 5%. And we said this is a reasonable approach to say, look, let's not try to capture the opportunity loss of 20 years. Let's take a 5% and just say that's equivalent of what we're trying to get to by putting a flat dollars. But I don't know what the conversations back then were to say, oh, we'll come back to this, but they haven't, or it hasn't moved since then. So we take that, we add a 5%. It captures intent of back then what the specialty teams would be, and market comparables. We're at the low end, or at least at the floor of what a specialty team member would be paid across other comparable departments. What we haven't done is say, let's look at the wage erosion analysis and do reverse compounding to understand what the time value of money was back then, and to say, here's our 20-year opportunity loss for a member, because those would be some staggering amounts that we'd take. So from there, we would say that'd be unreasonable to then try to say, let's catch up and erase a 20-year-old debt. That wouldn't be reasonable. So that's when we came in with the 5%. We figured that would be pretty reasonable intent to say, we're just trying to capture what equivalency was back then.
And we're gonna, again, we're gonna go back and we're gonna look at our specialty team proposal and then be able to bring a counter to it. But again, we wanted to just have a little conversation of kind of why this specialty team is so important and a big focus for us. So moving on, the paramedic AEMT, short of saying that we think we're there. The last proposal that we have is a strong consideration for us to be able to go. This is a good plan, makes sense, and then to be able to move forward on that. The career development, we wanted to give a pseudo counter from the last proposal, where we would like to say a 3% WOC across the board. And I think you guys had a 2% in yours, but we wanted to kind of give you that to do some costing over lunch if you wanted to. And then we wanted to bring in
Sorry, clarifying question. Across the board, all ranks or just firefighters?
all ranks, but just the WOC portion of it, which is the
Captain 3,
Captain 3,
senior firefighter 3, and
Okay.
then firefighters.
which your proposal is 2% across the board for.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your ask? Jason?
3%.
3%.
Cost of 3%.
Yes. We wanted to have a discussion. The 3%, when we started looking at calculations, 3% put us like right at this line where some people were doing a little bit better and some people were doing a little bit worse. So that would be for the future. We understand that the kind of grandfathering clause, but we're looking at the future of the organization and what does that look like for people coming into the organization as well, which we want to still be able to maintain value in our organization to be able to hire and recruit people. So wanted to just throw out a concept of everyone has their own perspective, also whether they think this is a good plan or a bad plan, and they're going to use their own examples. And you're going to get people that have swung up a bunch and go, yeah, I like this. You're going to get other people that have been more in the norm and go, I don't know if I want to stay in this system. Our goal is to move everybody when we're talking class A and class B, if you will, and class A being new, is we want to get to class A. We want to get rid of this, giving people the opportunity to make a decision when this happens and say, contract starts October, you have until January 1 to choose if you would like to go to the new system. And that would allow people that would be grandfathered to be able to roll to the percentage system right away. Kind of opt in.
Kind of the one-time opt-in.
Yeah. And again, this is kind of coming at it from a perspective
So
of,
does that tie into the 3%?
It's kind of like, we were talking about too, is like. there's
yes, it
potential-
would,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
would be opting into
Opting into
the new
the
system.
new system versus staying grandfathered into the old system, kind of giving them the option of which one they want to do.
Indefinitely.
Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
It would be a
There wouldn't be
one-time-
back and forth. There would be a back and
Yep.
forth. It'd be like a,
As the member would have to make the choice.
yes.
Yep,
And here's the two paths.
yes, and you.
So we would indefinitely have two paper reps.
No,
No, one-time opt-in, I
Be
think.
Yes.
one time.
it would
Time as
accelerate.
people move through.
So
So like on January, we'd say like January 1st. Or say, or October 31st or October is for our new contract, right? So anybody hired on that's going to be option B now.
Okay,
So then people after that can actually choose. We give them a one date to make a decision by. They can go to that option B if they want, as opposed to staying in option A.
so it's a one-time thing,
One
not
time.
like
One
we do
time,
this.
no, one
Okay,
time.
Okay.
One time you make a decision, once you move to A, you can never move back.
Okay,
and you're theorizing some of those people who are working those large amount of hours would potentially opt in.
The larger amount of hours probably want to stay under the old system.
Yes,
And then people who may be
the people that are in the average.
more comfortable having a flat rate increase.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also talked about too, it might be kind of awkward to, somebody might not like the idea of, say we have firefighter 2 right now, second year firefighter. Some point we're going to hire somebody on, they're both could be firefighter 3 at the same time. One of them, the newer person would actually be making more
Mhm.
than the other member. So like, if we give them the choice, then they can't really complain about that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, and that's.
They still will. They will complain.
will, eventually.
We're trying.
Yeah.
We're
My
trying.
experience saying, wow. Did you hear that? Alon?
And we don't think there's not a, an ulterior motive here. We don't think that this is gonna shift value money either direction, really.
Just gives members
It's just,
choice.
yes,
Yeah.
it's just, and that's people, right? They look at something and they go, well, wait a minute, that's different than what I'm doing. And we run into that all the time. So it was just a thought process that we
Okay.
want to throw across the table.
So it's similar to when we initiated the Officers Academy. We didn't know how many would want to go the other way. We
Yep.
gave them two choices.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate ideas. All
Yeah.
the ideas.
And so then our goal for the 2:30 meet is that we would kind of formalize the counter proposal on the 3% WOC, just in on paperwork. And then we're going to look at the wage counter and then there's some connection in a proposal that we may have with wages and sick leave. So we're gonna
Okay.
work on that and hopefully by 2:30 we have something to present that would make sense kind of on what the contract would look like.
Sounds great. Okay. So it sounds like our homework and I don't know what it takes to model the working out of class 2% to 3%. I just don't know how much work that is.
Yeah.
So we will do our best to understand that costing.
Yep.
It might take more than
Okay.
2 hours, but we'll take a good run at it.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, with that, we would just propose to see you at 2:30. And if anything drastic changes, as per usual, we'll get some notification out.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Cam, are you able to drop?
Counter package.
Yeah, into our 715 3.5. Let's see.
Pressure's on you, my man.
He's got it.
Oh, do you need a folder?
It's got, there's a
There's a
user
counter.
You need a counter. Okay,
Yeah.
Great.
I think that works just fine.
lovely.
Say that, let's see.
I'm all like in tune with, am I feeling okay? Am
I know, I know, it's like, my stomach is
Fair enough.
fine. He said a week later, not
Yeah.
Yeah,
an hour later.
but now you have to go to have a salad a week ago. Uh-oh.
Am I getting-
Uh-oh.
My husband and his passion for cilantro. Not great right now. Very high risk diet.
Yeah. I'm so bad about washing cilantro too. I mean, it's often washed, but then it's.
Yeah, so it'll be proposal unit and today's date under our 715 Union County proposal folder.
So I'm like, it comes from there.
It's fine.
They don't like chopping super wet cilantro because it all sticks
So
together.
gross, I know.
Yeah, it's hard.
And like
Yeah.
this complicated salad spinner soaking, rinsing situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see, I'm. The old
Moving
MacBook
on.
here is still trying to pull up the other one, but I think I can just operate from. Our
Same one, yeah.
Yeah. We changed anything. If so, Cam, as we're going, if we change something, let me know. Okay, so this is a package counter proposal for
Okay.
today. There's a couple of like pretty big nuances to it that we probably need to spend some time discussing. But we did an initial wage adjustment to a year one of 4%, year two of 3.75%, year three of 3.5%, and then dropped year four to 3%. And this has a caveat that I'm going to kind of throw in the top and then we'll discuss it. The fourth year, we're proposing a reopener that is attached to sick leave that will potentially reopen wages in that fourth year. And that reopener has a potential to drop that 3 down to a 2% wage increase based on some numbers that we would come up with. So career development, as we talked earlier, made the adjustment from our 4% to 3%. So that 3% is part of this package with the conversation that we had of the option for the firefighter ranks to be able to choose in that one-time opportunity to roll into the new appendix or stay under the grandfathering clause. Our specialty team pay, just staying kind of that 4% base proposal that we initially proposed last week. And we were hoping that we would have been able to share some of that information with you on why that's still pretty important to us. Longevity pay would be the same longevity pay where we had discussed the grandfathering as well for that. So we did kind of start attaching some language that memorialize the grandfathering discussions within that article. We get to the point here, and I'm hoping that everybody's kind of okay with this. We get to the point here where from our perspective, it's really silly for us to go back and adjust language every single time that we're making some of these kind of proposals, unless it's something that's extremely convoluted and we're just not communicating effectively. And then at any point, if there was can you reduce this to actual contract language, we're happy to do that. But we
You
think
don't want
once
to red line the blue line, the red line. blue
yeah,
line?
we get to that point and it's tough it gets really convoluted. So we kind of think that, which is generally an accepted practice once we get to that point to start just kind of listing out some of those proposals and then going back and making the actual adjustment to the language. The authorized firefighter language, we're still interested in our language. We think our language is really just a lot simpler, a lot cleaner, a lot easier for everybody to understand for now and for the future. We don't think there's a lot of implication on any value there. We just think it's easier to have something kind of done simplified. And so we liked our process a little bit better. The sick leave, here is some of the nuance that we want to talk about. So the sick leave, we have talked about this 100% valuation and how as a department in the membership, we really feel like there's a lot of potential value to the city here. We also hear you that there is risk involved, because if we move and adjust this and we don't have a change in behavior, it can come with an increased cost to the city. Now, we still feel that increased cost is nominal because people are either using it or they're going to pay it out. If they use it, then it's still the kind of equivalent value of whatever it was. If the city pays it out, they would be paying it out at time and a half prior. Now they're paying it out at 100%. So we still think that there is a ton of value there, but we do understand a little bit of the risk. So our offer is to do a wage reopener in year 4. And that wage reopener would look like it would have a floor in it of 1%. If the city proves that there is a cost that the city has incurred as part of accepting this, we would accept up to a full 1% change to that base rate in year 4, which, I think we've kind of average talked about $500,000 is pretty close to equivalent of 1%. As we've gone through, done all of our calculations on sick leave, the biggest cost we ever saw as a potential to the city, which is the risk, was $500,000. So that 1% floor covers that $500,000 of potential risk if there is zero change of behavior in the sick leave process. However, if we feel if we're taking on 100% of the risk, we should also be given some of the reward to that. Now, in order to work through this process, our proposal is that in that wage reopener, the savings that the city would see, we would share 75% to the union, 25% to the city, based on we're taking on 100% of the risk. So if we're going to take on 100% of the risk, we feel like we should get the bulk of kind of the savings there, but still leaving some savings on the table for the city so that there is still value to the city in working through that. So once we do that, there's kind of two parts of this that we would have to agree to. Number one is we'd have to figure out kind of how to calculate the metrics of the either cost or of the savings to the city. So we'd have to come together and agree on what that calculation kind of looked like. Obviously, I think we would either do it ahead of time, or we could put a clause in there that says during the term of the next 3 years, we will come together, meet and confer in good faith to be able to come up with what that looks like, and have some kind of default clause that says if we can agree on a calculation method, we would go out to an independent party to have them come up with a calculation that they think would be fair. So that's kind of the initial framework of it.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure, Chief.
So how would that last piece be verified? Would it be a third party independent, or
It would
have to
be,
negotiate?
we would try to come up with, looking at the data and the calculations, how can we try to figure out where all the savings are and moving to this plan? We'll have 3 years of data to be able to process through to look at the savings. If we get to that point and can't come up with what that calculation looks like that we both feel is a fair calculation of the savings to the city, then we could request and just have an independent consultant, if you will, come in to just look at and verify the savings. Then moving on, and I know if you have any questions, further questions on that, we're totally open to answering any further questions. It was kind of we've worked through it a couple times and tried to process what this could look like and how we would be able to bring this to the table, understanding that no one is wrong in saying there's a risk here. There is a risk. We had identified a risk early on when we brought this proposal forward. We said we don't think the risk is a high likelihood, but we do understand there is a risk. We think there's a big reward, and we're hoping to be able to help that get across the table that way. The paramedic pay would be accepting the city's counter from today. The max days worked would be the city's counter. The off-cycle testing was the last city's counter. The health trust contract language is part of the package. That we would shift that into the healthcare trust. This package does still have our binding fact finding as part of the package. Vacation sell down timing. This was the city's that is accepting it as part of this package. Day crew standby, aid card language. Physical fitness is accepting the MOU. There was just kind of one look at that. We have talked multiple times about how an annual medical evaluation may not be the direction we want to go. That maybe the actual medical evaluation is every 3 years, every 5 years, depending on, risk factors, and that we would have a physical fitness portion. This refers to an annual medical evaluation still. So if we just take out in one spot the word annual, it still says work on a medical evaluation. We think it still gives us all the same
Opportunities
yeah.
to discuss.
Yes.
Okay.
That's down. So theoretically be accepting it as written minus that one word.
Okay.
And then the cities, accepting the city's 401k / 6.2%, where we just have the removal of the 1% contribution. And then underneath that, we just have the kind of ongoing list of what has been dropped, and that's maintaining where it is.
Skipped over specialty team pay. I think
How did I
That's
miss
career
that?
development, special team longevity.
that's career development.
Okay.
Just specialty, well, I think I said specialty team pay was just going back to our last offer of 4%.
Okay.
And
Clarification too for the longevity pay, because we hadn't written it down, we talked about it early on, but that would be freezing everybody in place, not grandfathering everybody in the contract. For that grandfather language for longevity pay,
okay, can you
Just to
say that
clarify.
again, please?
it would be freezing everybody where they're currently at,
Over 25 years.
over people over 25 years.
Not a reliance clause.
Not a reliance, not like a grandfather, everybody in the contract.
Okay,
just
but
those people who are, somebody's
if you're
28 years,
20
they stay at 28.
If you're 28, you stay at 28.
Yes, so nobody.
But if you're 24, you go to 25 and then.
Yes, yes, no
Okay.
reliance.
It's like, God, I hope that's what we meant.
Like, clarifying question on specialty teams. We've been through this so many times. I'm just making sure I'm like on the right one. Was this the 4%? Then the longevity,
Just 4%.
Just 4%.
just 4%. Okay, so
Yes.
this was just the 4, not the,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
and at 4, I mean, we've run it a lot. At 4%, we are theoretically trying to just capture where nobody is going backwards. In that process, it converts it to a percentage, so we're able to, at some point, at least we're not continually losing ground on it. We're at least kind of stopping the bleeding, if you will, where we are now. That was kind of our goal with that.
Questions, team?
We hit everything?
We got there. Appreciate continuing to think about the sick leave and how to share the risk. This is a new one that we hadn't yet thought about or talked about, so interested in looking at that and yeah, starting to think through like, how would we do the
Yeah.
metrics? I mean, we have discussed some of that in the
Sure.
past, so that gives us, I think, some food for thought. Back on the career ladder, the 2% to 3% was not as fast as I hoped it might be. So the team is working on that. I'm not sure that we're gonna have that this afternoon.
Yeah.
So that might be one of those drop the costing in an information folder over the next day or two. We just want to make sure that we thought we had it and I was like, oh, that'll be simple. Then we brought HR and the Questica wizards in and they were like, that's not so simple. It's like, oh, shoot. Okay. So we are looking at that.
Okay.
And, apologize, but not going to be able to have that back to you all.
Yeah, no problem.
Nick, grandfather, before we left for lunch, we talked about a little bit. Did it make sense what we're proposing for those firefighter rings,
The optional.
or give you the say, stay on the as is, dollar differential for WC, or I'll opt in for the new appendix rate of WC as a base percent. That one makes sense how we were.
I'm laughing because
This was,
it does,
it was about 30 minutes of,
but it took us a
around and
hot
around
minute
to
to all
get
get
there.
it.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I think I got
Understand
there.
what they're
You
saying.
totally understand.
Yeah, we went through it for about 30 minutes, but I think we're there.
I think we got there.
I think we're there.
I think what we're trying to figure out then is what does that do to the compression?
Yeah.
Right, so if we go to the 3%, then are we back in the compression problem? So that was why they wanted to take a little more time
Sure.
with it,
Sure.
just to,
Chris is gonna
just to
give us a
understand
couple of
that.
different thoughts and proposals, and then from there we'll decide what makes the most sense.
Okay.
We'll cost it out.
So, anecdotally, do you think there will be
I-
more people that will opt?
I don't know, to be honest, Chief. I could see some staying. I think most, because of comfort level, probably choose to stay as is. Because that's what they see, that's what they know. But I don't know. I just think it's nice that they have that
It's
option.
really hard to say. I mean,
Yeah.
the discussion of going from a kind of per occurrence to just a flat rate has been happening for years. I mean, we have talked about it and talked about it, because we brought this up last negotiation. So there's been a lot of questions on, well, and it's all individual based, right? Most people look at these things and they go, well, this is what I think it looks like. And then someone else goes, well, no, that's not how it looks like. And we're trying to get everybody to understand the reality is the WOC occurrences that are happening are just going to level out and become equivalent across the board. But your actual amount of time spent doing it is not going to increase. It's just going to allow for more opportunity for those things to happen in-house. It's a good system. It's just whenever you bring up change and it being different, there's always a lot of trepidation on,
Yeah.
what do I want to do? But
Well, and as we said, just individual experience, right? Some people may be like, I don't actually do that much.
Right.
This new system sounds great. Or somebody may be like, whoo, that's a huge chunk of
Yeah.
my annual plan.
Yeah.
If it makes it easier too, is it something, because we'd have to implement the new system if we did the original grandfathering, right? Since we onboard new members. We can make that maybe the date that our current members have to choose by. So it's all kind of done at once.
Oh, that's a good point. Bring it on with the
Yeah.
next
So like
recruit.
whenever that new recruit academy is aligned,
Oh, that's an
they get
idea.
onboarded, you can just be like, this is the deadline you have to decide by.
We're creating like pay plan B.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
are you in or you out?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Great. Other thoughts, questions?
No, I pretty much follow everything.
Okay. I would. It was a 30-minute caucus. Do you think there's anything we can turn around again this afternoon?
I don't think.
Stacy's giving me big eyes. That is
Well,
looking
The only
like.
reason I say that is because we don't have room yet.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
he's gonna want to weigh in on.
He is, that's a good point.
So I don't know that it would be fair to him to turn any of this around without his input.
We got non-summer room, yeah.
I mean, I should represent, so I suppose
I prefer handsome Romeo.
I was just.
That's really,
a handsome version of Romeo. So that's my only
that's
reservation.
fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
We assume that we would
Okay.
present and this would just come back at our next.
The only
session.
downside is we are not back,
I know we're knocked back for 2 weeks, so
Yeah,
that's,
let's go.
and that's rough.
Yeah, it's rough.
It feels like we're losing momentum.
I know. Today felt very productive
Yeah.
and I do not want to. But I think there was,
Yeah, much.
I think next week was a scheduling disaster.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's you talk.
Well, then, shall we plan to be in touch in the meantime with any information we are able to share?
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Being
Anything
that-
that we can trade
Yeah.
notes on.
Yeah, being that we
Okay.
don't have another session scheduled for a couple weeks, if there's any sort of costing, any
Mhm.
sort of conversations that are clarification type conversations, whatever, where we're not going back. and
Not
forth. Yeah,
negotiating, but
right. I think
Yep.
we continue to keep that up. we can continue to use our shared drive for that information sharing.
Great.
Yeah, just make a talk to one another on
Great.
what we have or what we need and when to share.
That sounds good. We will be scheduling ourselves a work day for next week so that we do keep momentum, even though we're not back at the table.
Yeah.
So we do commit to that to make sure that we're.
And we might have questions.
Yeah.
Things that we want to touch base on, information we want to say, hey, it's in there, take a look at
Yeah.
it. So we can do some things. It's just
Yeah.
bummer that we're losing 2 weeks, but. Yes.
Summer. This summer.
Maybe we should start before summer next time.
I'm really-
President Shuey,
why it's cold.
if I had any idea that in fact I would have been the one at this table.
See, I knew that I kept, let's go. Let's get this started.
I was like, wait, what? I have to do
I
what?
think we should start while it's cold and crappy outside.
Yeah.
There you go.
Really?
There you go.
They're back on the 29th.
What time?
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday.
Schedule on a Saturday.
Start to-
Start bright and early.
Yeah, I would say
Get
an
after it.
8:30 unless
Yeah, like
anybody
that
has
noon
news.
time.
Yeah, let's start at 8:30.
But Stacy's like, let's go.
Keith,
I'll see you here at 7.